Hey, Dad.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thanks.
You are somewhere. Well, you tell me where are you today? Today is May 20th, 2026. So you'll be somewhere on your run to the wall.
Yeah, I'm probably going from Corydon, Indiana to West Virginia.
Wonderful.
Wentzville, I
Um,
think. I don't
well,
remember.
hopefully we have a listening audience in the Midwest. Welcome
To
to our
Nitro,
listening
West Virginia.
audience. Oh, fun. Welcome to our listening audience. This is Discussions with Dad, Faith, Blood, and the In-Between. As always, we start every episode with our core promises. Number one, even when we disagree, we will practice patience and love over certainty. We got a little certain on our episode 8, so we'll try to be less certain with one another. We will tell the
I'm
truth.
certain we will.
Yeah. We'll tell the truth with care, and we will listen to understand, not to convince, convert, or prove wrong. As always, this podcast reflects our personal opinions and our lived experiences. It's meant to spark a conversation, not provide professional advice. So please keep that in mind when we speak with such authority on everything, and we know very little about anything. Um, what's something you think you're an expert on?
Plumbing.
Yeah, you are. I don't know if we told the story about. I mean, I've written it in my first book, but I don't know if I told the story on this podcast about when we were under that crawl space. You were moonlighting,
No,
and
we haven't told it.
and I was down there with you. You were like, "Hey, do you want to come see what I do?" And I was in 8th grade, so 13, and I was like, well, for whatever reason, I said, "Yeah."
And you
And it's
worked
like,
hard, too, by the way.
thank you. I try to.
Yeah, you did.
But anyway,
And you
you
got
asked.
paid, too. I paid you money, too.
Good.
Yeah.
And you asked for a wrench or something, and I handed it to you, and I had like tears in my eyes.
No, no. No, it was on the way home. It was on the way home, and it was late. I mean, I kept you out till 10 o'clock doing this job, and it was in Southern California when we were living out there, and
I'm
you were
still
really
living out
quiet, and we were filthy dirty because the crawl space was full of cobwebs and spiders and everything, and you saw exactly what I was doing, and we were repiping a house, and um, you looked at me. You said, "Dad, would you be upset with me if I didn't become a plumber?" And like a tear rolled down your eye. And I was like, "No, son, you be what you want to be. You don't have to be what I want to be or what I
No,
was."
actually, you said, "No, you be what you wanna be," and I'd be so happy if you weren't a plumber, I think you said, a
Right?
version of
No,
that.
I didn't want you to be a plumber.
Yeah,
Tough. It's hard work. I mean, thank God though it provided for my family, and
yeah,
actually, Matt, this year is 49, and 2027 will be 50 years.
wow. Of just working as a well, I mean, you weren't in the field after your, what, 40s?
Yeah, so I think out of 50 years, I probably had 20 years in the field and 30 years in the office.
But you choose to stay there. I mean, you've retired from your main job, and you're
Yeah,
working at another company now.
yeah, yeah. That's right. I enjoy it. I do enjoy. I don't enjoy plumbing. I enjoy what I'm doing now, and I like the office stuff. But
It's
plumbing is
interesting because I enjoy what I do, I always have, and I've been so fortunate, and like you say, a huge part of an artist's fortune is their family.
oh yeah,
Honestly,
of course.
not just for financial support, which you've definitely been there, and so is my mom, but also, emotional and just mental, support and backing you, and the thing that I didn't know when I asked you that question when I was 13 and felt like it was so much work to be a plumber is how much work it is to be an artist, and truthfully, no matter what profession you choose, if it doesn't bring you some sort of joy, it's a bummer. And so I
Don't do
think
it.
about all of those people that I think of mostly working women who have children, who are either single moms or um really single moms. Feel empathy for more than anyone because they're doing jobs that they're not even bringing them joy. They're literally barely bringing them a roof over their head, you know?
Right.
So,
No, that's very hard.
yeah. And that's kind of the theme of our episode today. The actual title of our episode is what holds us together. But I guess the first question I have for you is if there's a season in your life where you really relied on your family as the thing that held you together, And what did that teach you about love and loyalty?
Yeah, that's easy. Um, when we the first real challenge in my life was when we moved back from California when it was just me and you and Cherie.
Mhm.
Um, and I obviously made that choice because I didn't think I we had good friends in California, Angie and Greg and Don and Lynn and Russ and Nancy for
Who
that
we still
matter.
see today, you
Yeah.
know?
And they would have helped me if we would have stayed there. Financially, it would have been really tough because I think our rent was $2,000 a month, $1,800 a month or
And
something
this
like
was
that
in 1994,
for
you know?
1994. But it was a
Yeah.
really nice house and it was 2 blocks from the beach. So obviously, I had decisions to make, and the big decision was for me and you and Sheree to move back here, and we did here when I say Colorado, and I wouldn't have without family, without Grandma and Grandpa Smith and Grandma and Grandpa Schaefer, I would have not made it. I would have it would have been we would have made it, but it would have not been pleasant or pretty at all. And it turned
Yeah.
out to be really good, actually. I mean, you got to work at Master Printers. Thank God Zeta Alderman had a dance studio here, because I remember thinking that the whole time coming back. I go, where am I going to let this kid dance in Florence, Colorado? Because you had already danced at one of the premier studios in the South Bay, went to a premier school for dance, which there isn't even one in Colorado that I know of. Maybe there
I
is.
think there is now in Denver, but
There wasn't one in '94, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to drive you to Colorado Springs. You were just getting your license. You didn't have one in Colorado, obviously.
yeah, no, I did have one in California.
Yeah, but you had to get the Colorado one, which you did right away. Um, yeah, no, thank God
So,
for family and
it
friends back then.
it's funny to hear you that one of your major concerns was making sure that there was a place that I could dance.
Oh, that was one of my major concerns. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
also I didn't want you to run around with a poochy lip and be grouchy all the time, and you would have
Yeah,
been, you
yeah,
know.
probably.
But let's say this. Here's a way to put it. I loved plumbing at one time. I loved putting pipe together and doing all that good stuff. And it started in 1977. So I loved it. And then I got tired of it. And thank God, I was in and out of the office a couple times. I did it just enough time. But I would venture to say, and like you said, your career was not no easy task at all. But
Mhm.
I don't think you could do what I did. And I know I couldn't do what you do. So that's the way it works out.
I think I could do anything I put my mind to because I have done things that I don't wanna do that I'm like,
But not
"Wow,
be
I got
pleasant,
that."
but not
But I
be
would not have
pleasant.
been happy about it.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
No,
That's
no,
what I
no,
mean.
no, no.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
But, I mean, at almo I'm turning well, as of this podcast, I'm 48, hoping that we make it. I kinda hate pre-taping things because I don't like putting ourselves in a place where we're not there yet. What if we're not there? We might not
Then
be
we're not
there.
there. Then we're
I
not
know.
there. It won't
I hope
matter.
that's not the case for either of us, but
Right.
the point is, we both know life can happen, and it has happened to us, so, I hate doing that, but one of the things like, projecting makes me think about is, how when I was in my 20s and 30s, I projected where I would be with my path and my career, and I'm not at all where I thought I would be then. In many ways, I'm very grateful. In some ways, I'm not disappointed, but I'm just like, wow, I invested so much time, effort, energy. Where will it manifest? I know it will. I know that somewhere that part of my life will unfold in a different way. But um all of this to say that I had a community of first it was in my family, and then I had a community starting in Chicago, and then I moved to New York, and then I moved back to LA. And now I've been in LA since I moved back from New York. I've been here 25 years. It's a long time to be back in the community of artist friends who kept me going, but also challenged me are what kind of helped me wake up every day. And I feel grateful because I get to do something that I love doing, that I'm good at doing, and that I feel I'm talented, and I had the opportunity to take the talent and hone it because of you and mom. right now I think we're in a place in society where there's a big divide between the people that have that luxury and the people that don't. And as Americans, w- what is our responsibility? What I know for specifically of you is that it really bothers you that your tax dollars go to things that you don't believe they should go towards.
Right.
So using that as a lens and not talking about money and like actual like figures, I'm
Right.
saying with that as a lens, how would where how do you think the government could better make use of how we as Americans should commune together?
Well, I believe that the less the government's involved, the better off we all are. That's what I believe. I've read something today. Don't know if it's true or not, but I think when income tax started, it was about 3% of your income, and now
A lot more
for
than
some
that now.
people, yeah, some people it's just 37%. Some people it's 20%, 15%, and I think that was wrong for them to go. And I don't mind paying taxes for our defense, our roads, our infrastructure, the stuff that we need the government to do. But now, and if it's true that there's that much fraud that there is, and I'm sure it was happening on both sides, so I'm not going to even go, you know, say it's just because of what's going on in certain states. But but I do know that if that fraud is the truth, and it really is to the degree that they say it is, we probably could have socialized medicine that everybody gets free health care because they've
Are you
spent
talking about long-term fraud? I don't know which fraud you're there's so much fraud happening in our government
well
right
the
now.
fraud they're investigating right now, that the billions of dollars that
But that's specifically COVID from COVID.
no, I'm talking about the daycare schools in in Minnesota, you know, that they're finding, and now
Okay,
they're
but that's
doing
like
that
not a
everywhere.
long-term fix.
Yeah, but that was billions of dollars, and that
Fraud like bureaucracy, like
any
paperwork.
fraud. Let's just label it that way. Any fraud that the bureaucracy
Okay.
perpetrates
Okay,
against
but
us.
oh, I okay, but what I'm really asking is through now use your Christian lens. I mean, okay, because here's where I have a problem with what you said, and I always have a problem when any conservative says this to me. I believe in smaller government. I call BS on that. I don't know because everything in the last decade tells me that you believe in government control on a lot of things, on how people live their lives.
I don't.
You
What control?
don't, but the people that you vote for and put into your party have a lot they want to legislate. They want to legislate who can be a man and who can be a woman. You and I have had many conversations
No,
about this.
no. They want to legislate to protect a woman and protect a man. That's what that legislation's about. That's not about who can be what they want. You can be anything you
Okay,
want.
so let's use this on the smaller government guys, right? If the government stayed out of it, if the government stayed out of it, and you lived in the community that you live in,
Right?
and you are a community made up of mostly Christians, but there are all kinds of there are Jewish people, there are probably Muslim people, there are atheists that live in your small little community, and you've said it's under 4,000 people. Would you agree that it still is under 4,000 people?
Yeah, it's about 4,000.
Okay. If someone in that community that the whole town really knew was a good and decent human being. You all knew them. They went to a specific non-denominational church that half the town knew they went to. They work at Walmart. They're a good person, and they decided to change gender. They decide to go from being known as a man to being known as a woman. Do you think that your community would rally hate around this person, or that they would still try to see them as the same person they knew them to be and want them to have the same luxuries of kindness, empathy, and community neighborly conversation in passing at Walmart?
I don't think they. Well, there. I know of one that goes to Walmart all the time. I don't think they would rally hate, and if they do, that's wrong. By the way, no, no.
Right. Okay.
They,
And I agree with you that it's wrong.
you can do what you want, and
Look, hold on, hold on, because I'm going. This is an analogy, and I know that there are many trans people in your community. So, maybe the audience doesn't know that, but so where I'm going with this is, if America, our country, is made up of a small slice of what your community is made up of, how come the party that says they want smaller government goes out of their way to silence 1% of the country so often?
I don't think they go out of their way to silence them. I think that's your perspective, and I think that perspective is not correct. I just don't. I just don't think that's correct, man. I think that
Why was it such a
I
big
can see
issue in
why
a
you see
political?
that, but we would say the same thing about the left,
What would
and
you
that's
say?
well, I would say that that party is the one that wants more government control. Obviously, look what's happening in New York. He's going to have government controlled grocery stores if he gets his way. He's going to have government controlled daycare if he gets his way. Now, who's adding that? I don't want that. My party doesn't want that.
Okay, hold on. They're two different things. Let's do the daycare first. From everything that I've gathered from the governor all the way down, it's money that the state already had within their purse strings, and they're
No,
reallocating it. That's
the governor just came on. The governor of New York just came on and said, we're going to have to go to Florida and ask those people to come back because we lost so much of our tax base. And you can watch it.
oh,
It's
you're conflating two different
they don't
news
have the money to do it.
stories.
She
Well, when Mondami pushed it through, she was all smiles and ear to ear a month ago.
You need to watch the latest ones because it's not going to
Okay,
happen.
so okay, number one. Number two, just because there's a government controlled grocery store doesn't mean that there won't still be private entities.
It doesn't, but why even have a government controlled grocery store? You're saying my party wants government control. My party's not initiating those two items. I use that again. I'm
Here's the
using that
difference.
as, I'm not saying
No,
it's
no, no.
right or wrong. I'm using it as an example
Dad, I
of who's
understand.
doing what.
We don't need to read explain everything that we're talking about. Let's just stay in the conversation. I understand where you got. What I'm what I'm confused by, what I'm confused by is you're saying the left is trying to have more government control by Mondami proposing.
That's just one example.
Give me another example.
I can no longer buy 30 round magazines for my. I can in Wyoming, but I can't do it in Colorado because the government of Colorado says I can't have a 30 round magazine.
Okay, but
I
so
can no
how did
longer
wait
I can no
those
longer have my
people,
concealed carry in Denver, Colorado. It's no good there. I
Dad?
can't do it because the
That's your
government
government.
control.
That is your region, your community
I
collectively
know it's
voted
still
that.
government control. That's all we're talking about is
So
government. And
what
I'm
would you
giving
do
you
instead?
examples.
What would you do instead?
Make it the Wild Wild West.
I know that's what you want, but guess what?
No,
That's what
I
Gen Z
don't.
wants too. They
No,
want
I
a
don't.
revolution, but no one has an answer for who's leading.
I think I think it's just fine to have a good concealed carry, universal concealed carry, and if you have to have a license, don't have a problem with that. I've got one,
Right.
but
So that's not
but don't.
government control.
That is government control.
No, it's government oversight, and there's government oversight on both sides.
I love that. Is that embellishing a little bit? This is just your authorship,
No.
uh,
No,
your
Dad,
writing narrative is
here's
coming
the
out.
thing. We live in a country that we as a community, as a collective society, agree to set laws that the country has put forth. True or
Right,
false?
right.
Right. So if if technology advances like it's advancing with AI, the entertainment community is looking at ethical standards and practices right now. So there needs to be some oversight into the right and the wrong of the, is it ethical to let a thinking entity that is a machine go out and scrub the internet for every other artist's work that they've done and put it all together and make this new idea and let that live in its own space in the world. That kind of oversight needs the same kind of oversight that when guns become so advanced that you can shoot off 200 rounds in 2 seconds, that might require a society to step back and say, do we need that?
Well,
And the
the
people that
problem
are in
is,
charge of that is our government, because
the
we've
problem
elected
is,
them. That's how our constitution is set up.
the problem is only the good people obey the laws, in which case I obey the law and I can't buy or have those things. And the bad people all have them. And
That
because there's,
argument is such a
but it's the
talking point
truth.
from the
It's,
NRA that
it's
it's
still
so.
the truth.
No, it's not the truth. The
It
truth
is
is
the
you
truth.
wait, hold on. The truth is you believe in law enforcement. So let the law enforcement go after the criminals that have the bad guns, and let natural civilians
The,
keep guns
the,
to hunt and sport and do
the
all the things that you want
problem
to do,
is,
and
the
defend
problem is,
yourself if there's a tyranny,
the,
when
pr-
there's a tyranny.
the
But the
problem
tyranny is not going
is,
to happen from the criminals.
okay, now you're going to let me talk. The problem is that the only time they have an opportunity to go after that, because it's after an incident or a problem that could be prevented by someone who wasn't illegal or a bad person. That's the whole problem with your.
No, Dad,
Only
I
the bad
disagree with
people do
you.
bad things, Matt. The good people don't do bad things and are not going to do bad things. So why have laws
Who
against the good
who gets to
people?
decide who's good people and who's bad people, and who decides that?
Obviously, if you have to pass a background check, the ones that do it don't pass a background check. They could care less. They just go get a gun underground. If they took all guns away from all the legal people right now, the bad people would still find a way to get guns through black market and everything else. That's my
Right.
point.
So I agree with that
That's my
point. But
point.
why are you arguing that the government is trying to take your guns away?
The government in the state of Colorado is trying to limit it more than the Constitution allows, and they'll get shot down with that too. Like
When
everything they're doing in Denver is getting shot
the
down.
Constitution was written in a time when a semi-automatic rifle wasn't even on a radar.
It doesn't matter. The most deadly rifle that they had, they could carry. So now, in our time, the most deadly rifle we have, I can carry.
Okay, fine. So, and you can.
Yeah.
So where is the government
Right
oversight
now,
there?
in August, I won't be able to. In August, if it passes, I won't be able to.
In August, if it passes, you won't be able to. Okay. So again, and that's the Constitution working the way that your
Oh, I think
state wants it to work.
it's exactly what's going to happen. It'll have, and it will happen, just like many things they pass in Denver. It'll go before the Supreme Court, but that takes time, 2, 3, 4 years sometimes. And you're right. It works out. It always works out, but it doesn't stop them from passing at the state level unconstitutional laws for our national constitution.
These people that passed them are all people that the people in your state, your community elected as officials.
Sure is. That's how our system works.
The same way that our country is. So what are the shared values, and what is the difference between voting and belonging?
What do you mean? What's the difference between voting and belonging?
Well,
Belonging
if
doesn't have voting has a consequence. Belonging doesn't always have a consequence.
well, you belong in you belong the people that you belong with in your community voted against what you believe. So do you belong with
No,
those
not my
voting?
community didn't. As a matter of fact, uh, fortunately enough, Colorado is somewhat like the United States. There's more red counties in Colorado than there is blue. Unfortunately, the blue counties have all the
Are the big ones.
population.
Right.
Yeah,
Why is
same
that?
thing with the nation.
Why do you think that is?
Boy, that's a whole other podcast. I don't know why.
No, it's not
I
a
don't
whole
know
other
why.
podcast. It has to do with togetherness. Think about it. Like
I don't
stop
know.
and wait, time out.
Why
Close
is
your
LA
eyes.
the size it is? Chicago's the size it is,
Wait,
and New York the
Dad,
size it
stop
is.
trying to think of the size and think of community. Close your eyes and think about this. What do the things that tie your community together have in common core? And what do the things that big cities that you've been in, like Chicago or New York or LA, have in?
Can't answer that.
It's the type of people. There are people that feel like if they can't express themselves without someone else making a judgment on that, it's harder in a smaller community. You said yourself at the beginning of this episode of this podcast that you know the trans people that I was referring to that walk in and go into Walmart. So you
I
know
do,
that they exist in your community.
of
That
course.
one person in that community can feel very small in that community, where if they move to a bigger city, if they have the means and the resources to live in a metropolitan area, they're going to feel safer among people that had shared values, shared common
So
humanity. Like,
So what you're saying then, that's going to be the polarization of America then?
well, I think it already is.
It
If
is.
because
We're saying the exact same thing.
people on my side, on the left, love to like want to always get rid of the electoral college, or want to make the people that represent us Senate wise in the Senate proportional to the amount of people that we have in the state. There are maps. I don't want this podcast to ever be a facts and figures kind of podcast, but for the audience and for you, I'm sure you've seen the illustrations because CNN does it it's everywhere. Of the 50, United States, 43 of them have the same amount of people as three of, you know what I mean? Like, again, I don't want to get into the deep numbers, but my point is there are more red counties in this country with less people than there are blue places with a lot of people. So I
Yeah,
think
of
we're
course.
already there.
Tons
We're
more there's more states that way. I
Yeah.
think 37 red states.
So then what builds American community? What
I think
keeps
the
us
way the
America?
Constitution is structured builds American community. I
Not
think
not not logistically. From a human to human, we believe different things, but we share this common country.
because it's still the greatest country on earth. It real it's still the greatest country on earth.
It's so I
There's
love you
so
so
many
much.
things wrong
I'm not
right
trying to be
now.
condescending. It's this cute moment of Grandma Schaeferness that comes out in you, where you're like, I'm really not trying to patronize. I'm not. You, to our listening audience,
You
my
just
dad's
complimented
mom.
me.
Okay,
You just
good.
complimented me.
But it's just that, like, that kind of like,
Come on.
no, just that, because I'm telling you, I'm answering my answer with an answer.
No, that's not an answer. It's the truth. As bad as things
Give me
are,
3 things that make it the best country.
three things that make uh, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. Is that enough for you?
I agree with all 3 of those things. Now, from a community base, the people that make up the body of the country, the
We are
American
still
electorate.
the average, just the average person, not even upper middle class, just the average person in the United States is richer. And I heard 99%. I don't believe that. The first time I heard it, it was 95%. The average person in America is richer than 95% of the population of the world. 95% of the population of the world.
And
Now,
you have
I
been
didn't
to other
fact check it.
countries,
I've
and
heard it twice. I don't think it's 99, but there's so many people doing so well off. And I sent you a reel
well,
not too long ago.
I mean, first of all, how do you fact check something like that?
It
Where
would
did
be
you
hard,
hear that from?
but I can look at my community. I look at my community. There's very little homelessness.
But you don't
Most
know
of the
what people
people.
are going through on the inside. You don't know how much debt they're living in. You don't know these things.
But if you're
No
living in
one.
debt, that's by your bad choices, Matt. That's not because. That's not
No,
because.
that's not true. No, that's not true. I'm living in debt because I charge my health insurance every month, because my employer and my jobs don't pay enough to cover the basic cost of healthcare needs.
Do you have the right to switch your job?
I have the right to switch everything. I have the right to drop my health insurance if I want to.
Right.
I don't disagree with those
You
things,
could
but I
come work
don't
for
think
me as
that
a plumber and own a house here
we
and
talked
have
about
good
that
health.
in the last episode, in 2
There
episodes
you
ago, and
go. There you go. We choose our poison. But yeah, you lose in that end, but you traveled the world 10 times over.
well,
So you gain
I'm
and
not
you
saying
lose.
that. But I'm saying, just because I agree with you that this country is a great country, and I've said on this podcast many times over, just look at those celebrities that are so privileged that it's so easy that they can just go live in another country for as long as they want to, and
Fine.
B, that they can crap talk this country from another country under this First Amendment right. So I find that
That's why I
so
said
challenging.
the greatest thing is our Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights.
But I want you to
It
go
makes it
deeper
so
into
great.
what I think that what made this country really great was that during the industrial revolution, when our family immigrated here, and when millions of families from all over the world immigrated here, there was this real melting pot of diversity and led all of it was led by innovation and advancement, and it was so hopeful. And yeah, there were bad things happen, and yes, there were definitely
Always.
fights, and yeah, and the Irish and the Italians were treated in a certain way, and the BIPOC community was there were, yes, I'm not trying to gloss over the bad parts. When in the 1800s and in the early 1900s, in the 20th going into the 20th century, um community was rooted in these differences, and how these differences helped innovate. Now it seems like, and sure, there was still tension. I know that. I'm not ignoring that, but now it seems like there is no there is no hope in a lot of the red places that you reference for a difference of opinion.
I think I think there's hope for difference of opinion. I don't have a problem with how you want to live your life as long as you're not imposing it on me. And I mean imposition in a real wrong way. Um, and there's many examples I could give you of that if you want one. But
Which, no, I don't want one, because I know that to be true, and you've given examples already
right,
on other episodes of this podcast. But then
but getting
when
back
you
to
say,
something,
but then that's all fine and dandy, but then that's not how, when you vote for the people that you vote for, that's not what ends up happening when they make laws that are counter those thoughts and feelings.
like you said, we voted for the people. They made the laws. I'm very sad about laws that Colorado's putting out right now. But I probably will never. Colorado will never ever probably uh, be what I want it to be anymore. It's gone. It's not going to be the same. It's just not.
What was
We've got,
that?
huh?
What was that you wanted it to be?
Well, obviously, I want it to be more conservative. I wanted it to be. Uh, I don't want
When you
them
say more
to
conservative, what is that?
political conservatism. You know what that is. It's my politics and conservatism.
But so how is that not the government intervening in other people's lives? When this is the part about the smaller government that I don't get. When you say that it won't be conservative, that the government won't try to control people to bend to the beliefs that you believe, is that what you're saying?
No, not at all.
Then what are you saying?
Live and let live.
You
Don't
say
pass
that,
laws.
Dad. You say that, but they are passing laws that,
What law? What law got passed?
well, I mean,
What law
lots of
got
laws get
what
passed
law?
that.
I don't know any law in Colorado that got passed that would go against the queer community or against the. It's just the opposite. You asked a question about why we are where we're at, and I believe, and you probably will disagree with this, but I believe our country got to where it was be because it was it was based on Christian beliefs and Christian law and biblical law, and I really believe that's where. I mean, the first people that stepped on this continent were the Puritans, and I think that has changed a lot, but I still think that's what allowed for me today. If I had a problem and I had no food, I could go next door to Terry's house and say, "We have no food tonight," and they would feed me. And they're not my relatives, and they're my neighbors and the people around
But
me.
you don't think that
Community.
that would happen in Los Angeles today?
I don't know.
I know it would.
I don't know.
I see it happen all the time.
It would have been, and it could. That's a good thing. But it would have in our little community in the South Bay. But our little community in the South Bay was very conservative,
But
and
that's my whole thing. You keep talking as though this was a conservative idea. It's not a conservative idea to be
no, it's
kind
not
to
a
your
conservative
neighbor.
idea. But it was based on biblical principles and Christianity in a whole. I believe that it's the same thing: faith, hope, and love. I would not turn. I've taken strangers in.
Do
My
you think
wife,
that it was based on Christian, or because they definitely went out of their way, and I told you, listen to the podcast that I asked you to listen to, where you very much heard that there were definitely people when they were writing the Constitution that challenged having
yes,
faith And so
Yeah.
there, it's not like this was a new thing. They didn't want and we know that the Puritans left England because they didn't want to be run by a church. They were run by the Church of
No, they didn't
England.
want to be run by a government, not a church.
The government was the Church of England. The Queen.
That's why they split, because the
Right.
government
So
became
my
the
point
church.
is, you're this is what I'm asking. Like the fact that you want people to be neighborly, I don't think that that has to be a Christian ideal. I think that is
I didn't say it
a
has to be a Christian ideal. I
I
think
know.
that was
Hold on, let
founded
me
in this country, though.
I don't know that
Uh,
it was. I think there were
Okay.
civilizations before this country that believed that you should be kind to your neighbor. I mean,
Okay, so then what you're saying, then there's no problem with Islam taking over the United States. Let's let Islam take over and see how that works
why
out.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this country specifically shouldn't have a national religion of any kind and
Or or
doesn't.
or, or a concept. Don't even if it's not a religion and you don't have to be a part of it. If they were running the show, if Islam
But
was here
but
running,
that but that's exactly you are getting to the point of what I'm asking
that
you,
would
which
be
is
terrible, wouldn't it?
well, but that's the point of what I'm asking you. This is the part that I don't think some Christian nationalists really think about. What they're what they're hoping for, or what they think or believe, from where I stand, is that we should go back to using the Judeo-Christian faith as the basis for governing and deciding which laws should pass and deciding how we treat people, whatever. What I'm saying is, in a country that's established the way that we're established, if we entertain that, then it will quickly and easily and faster, because we've already established that the blue states or the blue areas have way more people, will argue to your point, which is, well, if we're going to run a nationalist ideal, let's run with these Islamic people who are saying that we should give free grocery stores to everyone, and they're not going to see the evil of it, because we're not talking about what's actually happening. We're talking about an ideal of nationalism. And so that's, I think, the bigger question is, why in America, why do Christians think that we should be a Christian nation?
Because I think they're good basic principles to follow.
But
That's
we
why.
have those good basic
If it's
ethics that
true,
we could
i-
follow that are in the three things that you named when you
if
said
it's
the Bill
true,
of
if it's
Rights, the
true,
Constitution, and the
but that
Declaration.
doesn't but that doesn't say love your neighbor like you love the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and all that keeps us free, freedom of speech, freedom to right to bear arms, all the 10.
No, but
Uh,
what keeps us from loving our neighbor is you'll go to prison if you don't love your neighbor.
no, no, not at all. I didn't say make it a law. It's the concept and the ideology.
No, I'm saying, why do we need the concept or the ideology when, if we have a rule of ethics that we know, if we're not kind to our neighbor, there are consequences. If we do
No, there's
something
not
illegal,
consequences. I can be unkind to my neighbor all day long as I don't.
sure. I'm taking
Uh,
it the step further to the criminal act, Dad.
but
I'm
no, but
saying,
listen, as long as I don't infringe on one of your rights, that's what it all comes down to. If I don't infringe on one of your rights, and Islam would infringe on a lot of rights, it would make your women do
why
things they're not.
how did we get like
Christianity
so
doesn't do that. Where did Christianity infringe on your rights?
I mean, we really need to have people on here that would challenge you, because I'm not going to challenge you where I
Okay,
know your
no,
answer.
that's fair.
But
That's
I
fair.
would challenge you. I would say it infringes on people's rights when you're legislating based on the Bible, not the Constitution.
What got legislated based on the Bible?
A lot of things that I don't want to argue with you about, like
Okay.
on things like same sex and trans rights and abortion and a lot of things. What do you mean? A lot of things have been legislated in the last 5 years based on Christianity and using biblical concepts in in a constitutional environment. And that's why that's why the Supreme Court shot down some of the things, and I guess my point is, and why I love this country is the same reason you do. You said the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration. I would say the three branches of government, even though I think one of them is completely, all three of them right now are struggling. Let's be honest. They're still working. There's still checks and balances. So I'm trying to get to the more community based aspect of what makes America America. And I don't know that having it be a Christian nationalist country serves what made this country great in the first place, which was the foundation of immigrants who, yes, a lot of them were Christian, but a lot of them weren't, and still believed in the American dream and abided by the laws of this country and didn't challenge what's being challenged now by radical Islamic people or other China or Russia or whatever the threat may be.
Well, you asked me my opinion, and I gave you my opinion. I mean, doesn't mean it's correct, but that's what I think. That's how I think.
So conservative, you want Colorado to be more conservative, and what would be the next on your list?
Well, I guess all of us want all of us thinks our ideology is the best.
Right. I don't
Maybe
know.
mine's not, but obviously I would like it to follow closer to my ideology. And the fact that the last, I think three, you can double check me, and I know you don't want to talk about facts, but the last three bills, Senate bills and House bills that came out of our legislation in Colorado have gone to the Supreme Court and they're getting shot down. So, in other words, if you cut to the chase, they're passing laws at my state capital that are unconstitutional.
Mhm.
It's that simple. You can't put it any other way, because if you go to the Supreme Court and it gets shut down, that the only reason the Supreme Court is supposed to shoot it down is based on the constitutionality of that law. So that tells me something of a society that um, is trying to manipulate and pass things that go against the Constitution of the United States of America.
Donald Trump does that all the time, Dad. The right ch- challenges things that go against our constitution and the tariffs. He got shut down by his own Supreme Court. So
That's good.
that's not
That's
unique to the
good. That's
left.
good. That's good.
And that's not
You asked me about Colorado. I'm not talking about Donald Trump.
okay.
I'm
Okay.
talking about Colorado.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
You asked me.
then okay, and I get all that. So I guess you say live and let live and be you and I'm gonna abide by me and whatever, and I get that, and you want smaller government, but it feels like it's a challenge when someone in society pushes a back against the norm of what your thought of what it should be.
You just called it the norm. I didn't call it the norm. You called it the norm.
Well,
What's
the
the
norm,
norm?
what do you mean what the norm is? The norm is
You've
the expect
normalized.
no, the
So
expect
being transgender is not normal. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that there is more people in this country that would have a problem with a trans person using a bathroom and I give two shits about, and somehow the people in your party care about it. So yeah, I'm calling your party the norm. If they consider themselves the norm, that they're male and female and they're not they're binary and they identify by their gender and they don't believe in calling someone that isn't a man and all of this stuff, I'm calling them the norm.
Okay.
Why do you care
Do
if
you
it's
want
a
me to
smaller
respond to that?
government? Yeah.
Do you want me to respond to that? Well, I don't care if you want to be transgender. Like I said,
No,
as
no,
long as
no,
it
no,
doesn't
not to
affect me.
that. I know you've already said all of these things.
Well,
I'm
I
not
can't
asking you to
speak for
defend
other
your
people.
character.
I
Well,
can't.
but
I
I'm
mean,
asking, I
I
guess
can give
I'm
you an
not.
example. I can give you an
Yeah.
example of where it would bother me and when I would act up
Okay.
or say something. And that would be is if my granddaughter, your niece, walked into a bathroom.
Yeah.
We're eating at the food court at the
You've
mall.
brought this up before, but you still haven't asked her how she would feel about it.
Well, I don't care how she would feel. I have to. She's a minor, and I'm responsible for that minor. So
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm just putting it out
Okay.
there,
Go ahead.
and you can answer it.
Okay.
This is the only time I would probably even approach a person about that is if I'm sitting at a food court, my granddaughter gets up, I watch her walk into the bathroom, and a visibly male guy with a beard, like I've seen, and all that stuff, just because he's got boobs and wearing a dress, walks in the bathroom after him, I would stop him and say, "Sir, can you wait until my granddaughter comes back out?" I don't care if it's a 3 stall, 4 stall, or a 1 stall. I would be that polite, and
And
I
if
would
he
say,
turned to
"Sir."
you and if they turned to you and they said, "I have no problem waiting. Can you please not call me sir?" Then what?
I'd say, "Okay, fair enough. That's fine. Thank you."
Okay, so
That's how I'd say it.
why can't that just be it? Why can't we, if the party that wants smaller government doesn't want government oversight and government regulation. Why can't they govern their own autonomy? And when they see something they don't like, instead of fighting or pushing or screaming or crying or arguing or saying it's a sin or you're going to hell or whatever, why can't they just
Matt,
do what you
your
just did?
party's worse than anybody for doing that. Just
I'm
this week
not. Wait, we
alone.
can come from my party too. I agree with you.
Okay.
I
This
have
week
every
alone, did you see
problem.
the guy that pushed that? Did you see the guy that pushed that reporter to the ground? And by the way, he's faced charges.
Which I don't know what you're referring
Oh,
to.
you have to just look at it.
What is the premise? What is the
His daughter she was a reporter saying things that they didn't want to hear, and they were I can't remember if it was no kings or it was one of those protests like I got to see in person.
okay?
And she was talking just like me and you are talking, and this guy's daughter came up and was blowing a whistle as loud as she could in that person's ear, not
Mhm.
letting her talk, and the woman kept trying to get away, and finally she got away from them and and pushed her away from and really it didn't even look like she really pushed her. And the dad of that daughter that was blowing the stuff came from across the road, maybe 5 or 10 steps, and physically shoved that young woman down on the ground.
Which young woman? The reporter?
The reporter, yes. And oh,
Okay.
he's facing charges, and now he's on Facebook saying, I can't believe I live in America. Well, then move. Don't do stupid things.
I don't understand. I don't understand how this ties into what we were talking about.
Well, it ties into the fact that you just said my party does this, and this, and your party does the exact same thing.
I'm not. I don't want this to be my party, your party. This.
Okay,
I.
all right.
But when
Then
someone
don't
says
say
to
that
me,
then if you don't want it to be that way.
well, because here's the thing. I've never defended the fact that the left isn't completely insane about certain things, expectations, um, the fact that they still haven't talked about the fact that Kamala Harris.
Right.
Was kind of there's so many things
And
that
the
we could
far
get
right
into.
can be said the same
What
thing about
I'm
that.
asking specifically, what this episode is what holds us together, and I'm trying to say in your community, there are people of all walks of life and ethnicities and genders and how they identify and everything, and you don't seem to have a problem, nor do really anyone when I go back and visit you, anyone in the community. I mean, I see eye rolls and I see some like old timer, cowboys that maybe are challenged by it, but no one seems visibly scarred by it. No one seems like these people, whether you're talking about the people on the left or the people on the right or whatever, no one seems to. You all coexist and things get done, and everyone seems to have civility. And like you said, you can
I
still
no, I
borrow a
see what
couple
you're
quarters.
asking. I see what you're saying.
And then, but so
I
on a
don't know.
national level, that's going away because of hate and fear of, you said you've seen a guy in a beard dressed in a dress. Okay, I've seen memes of that. I've never seen that in live in person, and I live in Los Angeles. I, I'm I think that we are so far conditioned by the sensationalism that we see on our algorithms that you and I know your heart and I know what you believe and I know and I've seen you in action and you know all of those things, same things about me. I think that these issues that we're talking about are such big issues because of the people trying to legislate and control us rather than the communities that we live in actually caring. I don't think that you care that there are trans people in your community and that they shop at Walmart and that your niece or your granddaughter sees them. I don't think
I
you care
don't. I
about that.
don't care about that.
Right.
I don't
So
care. But that guy that does shop at Walmart tried to go in the women's bathroom, and after my daughter, I would stop him, and I've seen him there. So that's all
her.
I'm saying.
If she dresses like a woman, she thinks she's a woman and wants to be called a woman.
That's good. Wait till my
Right.
granddaughter comes out, and then you can do whatever your little heart desires.
Okay. I think that's
And I would
within
say
your.
it politely too. I'd say, "Sir, can you wait?" And if he said, "Don't call me sir," then I'd say, "Oh, sorry, that's okay, but you're still going to wait until my granddaughter comes out."
Could you
And then if
wait?
he tried to go in,
Okay.
it would be a really big problem that he wouldn't
Okay.
like.
Or
He or
she.
she wouldn't like, whatever whatever you want to call him.
whatever they ask to be called is
Oh no, I would call
feels
them.
like a
If
Christian
they,
thing to do.
no, you're not going to force me to use a pronoun. I don't have to. What's going to happen is I'll say, "What's your proper name?" And if he says my name's Esmeralda, I'll call him Esmeralda,
If
and I
they
won't
say
call
their
him
name is Esmeralda, you'll call them Esmeralda.
exactly.
It's
But I
just,
won't call him
why do you go
him.
out of your way though, is what I don't understand.
Because the truth is the truth, Matt. I seek the
Dad,
truth.
the truth is not the truth. And in
The
episode
truth
8,
is the truth.
we just spent an hour talking about the fact that you can't even tell the truth. You don't even know what the truth is. You
That
don't know
was
where to
2 months
listen to.
ago. We talked about that.
That was last month. And that's my
Yeah,
point.
that was last month.
You
Oops.
want
Oops.
government when they serve you, and you want the truth when it serves you.
No,
Just
I
like
don't want the
everyone, by the
government.
way.
I want the government to do my roads. I want the government to do my infrastructure. I want the government to have my defense. Um, they can do space. You know, they should even get out of that now because the private sector is even doing a better job in space than the government is, and prove that they could for a profit. I mind you for a profit.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. I want very little for government what to do. I'm sorry. That's just how I am.
Okay.
And I know what you're asking, Matt, and I don't have a clear cut answer. I don't know what makes people more tolerant or less tolerant in certain areas. I don't know what makes the community better or worse. I still think because of my faith that God has to have a hand in it, because if he doesn't have a hand in it, I think we're all in really big trouble.
So that's the perfect way to end this episode. If faith is your character and not the party, how could that be a way forward?
Yeah, well, the first time the party does, I don't care what party it is, does anything that goes against my belief and my faith, I'm not, and we've talked about that a million times. I have my 4 core ideologies that I cling to, and I will stick with. I might not be right. You know, who says I'm right? But that's
not me.
My belief. Not me.
All right, Dad. Well, I hope you're safe and on your way home, and I love you very much, and I always appreciate having conversations with you.
I love you too. Thank you.
And thank you to our listening audience. Until next time, we will see you. Be safe and make good choices.